Let's let's look at the next item on our food sector. This is clean cook stoves. You think this is almost like designing a mousetrap. Well, turns out that it's not really that simple in terms of building things that reduce emission, improve efficiency, reduce pollution indoors, and are culturally acceptable. So that's turns out to be more complicated than one would imagine. The ranking of this by 2050 turns out to be 21, with 15.81 gigatons in reduced CO2, $72.2 billion in net cost, with a net saving of $166.3 billion by 2050. 30 years of operation. A woman prepares here food on an improved cook stove in her home in the Indian state of Gujarat. So you can see this is not the traditional chula that's used. This is something that was designed specifically with lightweight metal, with a metal alloy combustion chamber that's in here. It's still using biomass. This technology maximizes the lifetime of the stove, quality control, safety, and heat transfer while minimizing emissions. Not all designs have turned out to be good at reducing emissions. Some have even been found to increase emissions. It turns out that people have all kinds of attachments. They feel sometimes that the smoky flavor to the food comes from burning these biomass that they gather one way or the other, and they don't want to lose it, so you cannot simply say switch to solar stove, and solar stove wouldn't work in the evening anyways, and they wouldn't want to cook outside, they prefer to cook inside. So all kinds of cultural issues exist. Going to the International Energy Agency, we get some good data here, looking at population without access to clean cooking facilities as of 2018. You can see that the numbers are not really that small. It's order 100 million over India and China, greater than 100 million. Many African countries in the range, and South American countries in the range of 1 to 10 or tens of millions of people without access to clean cooking facilities. So this also results in health issues because of sanitation, hygiene, water for drinking, and so on. This is population relying on biomass as of 2018. Again, large numbers here in India and China, and I think this is Bhutan up here, or maybe Myanmar, and all these African countries, Middle East, North Africa, and South American countries, millions of people still relying on biomass, which obviously has an impact on deforestation and forest degradation. Proportion of population with primary reliance on cooking facilities during 2000 to 2018, another IEA report looking here at the world, which doesn't show up here, and various countries: Sub-Saharan Africa, India, China, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. So the primary reliance on clean cooking facilities has gone up, but still rather low. India is here at about less than 50%, and the solid line here is China, which has improved quite a bit, and the Sub-Saharan Africa remains quite low, and so does Bangladesh. There are several projections made using multiple scenarios, like sustainable development scenario and stated policy scenarios, and so on. So this is proportion of population with primary reliance on clean fuels for cooking from 2000 to 2030. So here is the historical part, increasing slightly, but surprisingly North Africa here is almost at 100% in terms of clean fuel for cooking, so its projection remains essentially the same. But the two scenarios for Sub-Saharan Africa, the stated policies keep it here, but the sustainable development scenarios, which includes many assumptions about funding from donors, NGOs, and so on, takes the Sub-Saharan Africa almost to 100 in terms of clean fuels for cooking by 2030, and the same for the world as a whole. So there are ideas that could help everybody. This is another IEA report you can see here. Share of population with clean cooking access in new policy scenario 2000 to 2030. So that's the new policy scenario starting here in 2016, and you can see that there are various increases in the change in the population that will have access to clean cooking by 2030 in sub-Saharan Africa, other Southeast Asian nations. India is over here. Indonesia gets quite good progress here, and other developing countries. Okay, so this is showing population without clean cooking access in the new scenario 2016 compared to 2030. So the number drops, but you can see that sub-Saharan Africa hardly changes, in fact increases a little bit in 2030 in terms of access to clean cooking stove lacking, and there are other countries like India reduces the population without access to clean cooking. Indonesia does fine as well, and other Southeast Asians and so on. So still a lot of work to do, obviously, and there is a global alliance for clean cook stoves, which has big plans, and it is trying to work with the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, which are focused on poverty, access to water, education, women's health, and so on. Energy, etc., and they want to map onto the SDGs like no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, sustainable cities and communities, climate action, and life on land. So all these are related to clean cook stoves here. I don't know if I'll read through all of them, maybe I should. Clean cooking is part of the basic services necessary to lead a healthy and productive life and saves households time and money. So that's matching there. Quality of education. Children, particularly girls, are often kept out of school so that they can contribute to household tasks like cooking and collecting fuel. So if a mother's life is made easier with clean cook stoves, efficient cooking, and reduced emission and pollution, then obviously that's going to help with the family quality of life and quality of education for children. Gender equality. Unpaid work, including collecting fuel and cooking, it's called drudgery for water and fuel, remain a major cause of gender inequality, and so on. So climate action, for example, up to 25% of black carbon emissions come from burning solid fuels for household energy needs. Clean cooking stoves address the most basic needs of the poor while also delivering climate benefits. So up to 34% of the wood fuel harvested is unsustainable, so deforestation and land degradation is a big problem, contributing to forest degradation, deforestation, and climate change. So in terms of clean cook stoves, as of 2014, clean cook stoves comprised just 1.3% of the addressable market. If adoption grows to 16% by 2050, reductions in emissions will amount to 15.8 gigatons of carbon dioxide. The additional benefits to health of millions of households is not calculated here. So the co-benefits in terms of health, especially the reduced indoor pollution, TB, asthma, and so on, are tremendous, and they are not explicitly accounted for here. So that's a good no regret decision as well, and obviously should be followed up, but there is still a lot of work to be done to developing a clean cook stove that's acceptable across cultures and also beneficial for climate, health, etc.